at night from the Dominican Republic yesterday. All came back here at midnight, and to pass through immigration. It took more than 3 hours. I was so happy to meet our GPA missionaries there. I went to check the missionary activities of the second generation of Americans. I went there and returned with really high hopes. Last Saturday, I had breakfast with three families of New Jersey Church. They are Kotoe Kato and Kenichi and Kimie Kato. Yeah, really beautiful. I really appreciate that. And Kenichi Kato really serving and attending. Kenichi's mother. She's a really beautiful lady. And then he is Yoshiaki Inomata. Met him. And also they are Makoto and Yoshiko Shigemasa. Yeah. And I realized then he talked to me first time that this guy, Makoto, I realized that he is my spiritual grandson. Wow. Yesterday I discovered that. Last Sunday, I had breakfast with the three families of New Jersey Church. They are Ruben and Rosario, and their son is a Prince. He's really so handsome boy. And also there are Maria Martins and Ceci and Daejong. Daejong is a really good boy. Yeah, she's a Christine, she's really working very hard as a really matching supporter. I really appreciate her dedication and her beautiful heart. And then last Sunday, the commitment ceremony of Jonathan and Asami was held at the New Jersey Family Church. It was really one of the best engagement ceremony. It was so beautiful. So many second generation came. I gave a congratulatory remarks. You look at that. I think 1/3 of them are second generation. Wow, so beautiful, really, really beautiful. I'd like to suggest to really many our church leaders to have engagement ceremony during Sunday service. It is really great education to our second generation. It is so beautiful. I told you that out of the channel even giving testimony. They already know divine principle. They already know God's word. They really want to hear really, substantial testimony. Divine principle really works. We need to show that kind of testimony. And then last Monday, April 3rd, I visited Santo Domingo, a family church in Dominican Republic, and had a meeting with Reverend Sang-Suk Kim, who is a continental director to Central America, and leaders, and how we can, manage well for our second generation, third generation go to Dominican as a training place, and then also, how can we support Dominica, and talking about the VIP education. And the next day, April 4th, I visited CAP Center in Santiago with the Reverend Sang-Suk Kim and had a meeting with key leaders and CIG, our missionary. Yeah, they are our CIG missionary. I also heard their testimonies from CIG members and encouraged them. Wow, I really moved so much there. Kenta testimony and Abraham's testimony, and then Fumie testimony, also Kanna testimony. They are really life-changing experience. My dear brothers and sisters, let our second generation, third generation youth people go to overseas and serving other nations. It is really, all of them be God. Incredible testimony, I am telling you. That's why I went there purposely. How can we invite all, even first generation, even short time during, summer vacation or winter vacation, how they really meet God, That's why I purposely went there and checked, because I love our second generation, third generation, our youth so much. Today I'd like to talk about God's ideal family and the kingdom of peaceful ideal world 1 from True Mother's Anthology Volume 2. Let's start.
God's ideal family, and the kingdom of the peaceful ideal world one. Leaders
be tolerated. True parents declare the project that will tear down the man-made walls of race and culture and religion and country, and will help to establish the wall of peace that has been God's cherished desire. That project is the Wall Peace King Bridge and Tunnel, which will link an international highway system, including the Bering Strait project. The success of this project will be decisive in establishing a peace kingdom where people will no longer make war and division with each other. However, very important issue, even though Father really showed that kind of incredible vision, the world peace king bridge and tunnel. But important thing is, in order for this project to succeed, world leaders must accept the basic ideology of true parents. The world is one family under God, and the philosophy of living for the sake of others. Without understanding the philosophy of the living for the sake of others, and that the world is one family under God, it is impossible to build. That's why, how can we educate the leadership? Our job is really educate them, heavenly ideology, true parents ideology, right? And UPF is saying that we must teach all leaders the principle of the living for the sake of others through the true parents ideology, the unification thought and principle. That's why very important. When I was in Asia and educated more than 80%, political leaders, NGO leaders, academic leaders, and then we're teaching divine principle, especially emphasizing the concept of the living for the sake of others. Very, very powerful. Change that concept completely. That's why I really realized that, educating John the Baptist, how much powerful it is. If they know through parents of philosophy, they can have a life-changing experience. And the living divine principle, the completion of God's purpose of creation and the human fall is the part of the eschatology 3. Let's study.
Perfection of the family. Had Adam and Eve reached
family on the ground? Last day, our goal is to establish the world, one family on the ground. Continue.
The kingdom of heaven has the form of an individual who has achieved perfection of
heaven, right? Spiritual and the physical become one, where man and woman become one, and where the husband and all the humans and all things become one. This object and object become one, husband and wife become one, mind and body become one. Two existence become one. That is the kingdom of heaven. That's why without making unity between husband and wife, between parents and children, how can we create the kingdom of heaven? This Chinese character is very much signifies. And then the heaven is a world like the shape of the one person who has a complete individuality, just like a huge organism, just as our four limbs operate in a horizontal relationship by the vertical command of the brain. The society also lives in a horizontal bond with each other by the vertical and command of. Very important, even though conscience is invisible. Heaven is a world like the shape of the one person who has a complete individuality, just like a huge organism, just as our four limbs operate in a horizontal relationship by the vertical command of the brain. The society also lives in a horizontal bond with each other by the vertical and command of God. Therefore, the vertical relationship with God must be regarded as your life. To do so, You must live a life that honors your conscience as if it were God, right? That's why, our conscience is very important, even though conscience is invisible, but actually conscience is our God. We need to really treat our God. That's why I'd like to mention again that conscience is my 3 degree master. First one, Father said, conscience comes before parents. The conscience comes before the teacher. The conscience comes before God. So absolute obedience to the conscience can subjugate the body. How to control our body? You need to really absolutely follow to the conscience. Heaven is a world where the conscience is absolutely obeyed. Therefore, we must live in absolute obedience to the words of true parents. Otherwise, it will cast a shadow. Today's youth ministry, the shortcut to overcoming fallen nature. Let's just start. Love that can embrace and digest even enemies. When someone causes us pain and suffering, even if the problem is with the other person, if we think that the other person is the problem, our heart becomes dark and we cannot get rid of the fallen nature. Really, our original mind is so sensitive. Anything we criticize somebody, then my heart become, not so great mood. We do not know why, right? This is really very, very strange way, When we criticize something, then our heart become not so happy. When you see the other person's problem and fallen nature, if you do not think that you have a problem and do not reflect on yourself, there is no way to get rid of your own fallen nature. If you see other person's fallen nature, you should think that you can see the other person's fallen nature because you too have the same fallen nature. The more I become true person and the owner of the true love, the more I try to be compassionate and embrace the other person's shortcomings, even if they have a problem. Even when parents see their children's shortcomings, they see that all the problems are caused by themselves. If you consider the other person's problem as your own, your heart will never lose. This is a really important point, my brothers and sisters. Once again, if you consider the other person's problems as your own, your heart will never lose. A Japanese woman complained that she was blessed with a Korean husband and was suffering a lot of pain and suffering because of her mother-in-law. It was because a Japanese woman only saw her mother-in-law's, weak point without thinking about her own fallen nature. Even if the Japanese woman's mother-in-law caused her pain and suffering, she will have no reason to suffer if she has a vessel of true love that can digest and embrace and sympathize her. Therefore, the Japanese wife should think that God trains her through her mother-in-law. So the Japanese woman should think that her fallen nature, which cannot embrace her mother-in-law, is causing her to suffer. We need to think that way. If we think the other way, I am telling you, you never have a chance to get rid of your fallen nature. That's why when you see someone's shortcoming and really treat as my shortcoming, I have more shortcoming than the other guy, then your heart can grow up. You can remove your fallen nature. But blame them, criticize them, dissent them, judge them. I am telling you, when Heavenly Father look at you, you have more problem. You have a more fallen nature than that guy. Actually, fallen nature almost the same. That's why really whenever I see someone's shortcoming, really treat as my own shortcoming. I have more potential to create problems, right? Next.
Mankind's point that it was given to her by heaven.
To get rid of our fallen nature is to love someone who is difficult to love. If I someone who is difficult to love, my fallen nature is removed. Anyone can love someone who is lovable. Why did God give that Japanese woman such a mother-in-law? You should think that it was given to her by heaven to purify her fallen nature. So she should instead appreciate her mother-in-law. Our course of life is where we loving our enemies removes our fallen nature. That's why we need to really appreciate whenever you feel someone as your own enemy, that is a really great chance to remove your fallen nature through loving your enemies. We must give thanks to God who gave us the enemy that would test us to remove our fallen nature. Therefore, whenever the Japanese wife, treat her mother-in-law, she should think that the cause of the pain and suffering lies not in the mother-in-law, but in herself. As Jesus died on the cross, he forgave and loved his enemy. Jesus showed us the model of true love that loves our enemies. We must also inherit this model course of Jesus. Therefore, among our prayers and offers of sincere devotion and 정성, we must always pray to love our enemies. That's why we need to really love our enemies. Because why God gave us the enemies? Ask us to remove our fallen nature, right? That's what we need to appreciate. Any only enemy appear to me, then we need to appreciate. Any guy really are for me difficult to love, we need to appreciate. God asked me to overcome that. And then my character become very round character. I can digest any guy, I can embrace any guy, I can love any guy, and become really resemble to the parent, resemble heavenly God, right? This is really incredible guidance. Next,
The shortcut to over
faith is being challenged and overcome. I'm always saying that, right? Faith is what? Very challenging and overcoming. So, what is the challenge? It is to love what you cannot love. Again, what is the challenge? It is to love what you cannot love. It is also about challenging goals that you find difficult. One of the hardest challenges is loving someone you cannot love. And you must learn to overcome not only people, but also overcome difficult tasks. What is the difficult for you? If there is something that you find difficult and tedious to overcome, you must go out for the fallen nature. In the world of the heaven, there is no such thing as I don't want to do. I don't like to do. Everything must be digested with love. What kind of fallen nature am I unable to overcome? What do I hate most? You have to find out what kind of people you hate the most and overcome that. True love must be able to digest and overcome anything. I can never grow myself if I leave my own fallen nature as it is. That's why, my brothers, life of faith is what? Challenging. As long as God is living God, and you surely overcome. God is not living together with us, then no way to overcome. But as long as you have the right motivation and right mindset, really you try to overcome, God help you. That's why God is helping you according to your mindset attitude. Next.
how to know what kind of person is better than you will not realize who you are. This is because you can be hypocritical because you have a desire to make myself look good to my superiors or to be loved.
Yeah. Fallen nature, if fallen nature, if like if you like the dirt of our original nature. True Father said that the fallen nature we have is the dirt of our conscience. If there is a dirt of your conscience, you cannot tell if you are right or if the other person is right. Therefore, you must always listen to the word and stimulate to examine yourself. The reason why I hate or feel dissatisfied with others is because I have the fallen nature to feel such hatred and displeasure in myself. So the reason why I hate and I feel dissatisfied with the other person is because my conscience is smeared with dirt. Therefore, faith is basically think that all problems are my own and start from there. If I turn my problems to others, my spirit becomes hard and widowed. If we do not know this properly, we cannot grow up. You need to realize these things every day so that you can grow very well. So the course of the faith is a course of getting to know oneself every day. You know yourself when you honestly treat people who are worse than you. If you truly make the person you need to serve be happy, you will learn about yourself. If you try to serve the other person first, you immediately know whether you are someone to serve that person or not. If I sincerely serve the other person, I can quickly know that the level of other person's spirit. If the other person is lower than the level of your 심정, you must decide to love them more. And if the opponents, or your object partner level is higher than your level of your heart, you should think that you should serve them well and inherit them. My brothers and sisters, that's why when you serve someone, immediately know your level of love. You know that he is my Abel, he is my Cain. He is a spiritual level lower than me and higher than me. Immediately you know. That's why through serving, you can know God teaching you everything. That's why when you serve someone, you recognize that person's level of heart is lower than me. Then I need to think that how can I raise up him through my serving and attendance. And then when you discover someone is really, spiritually, the level of heart is much higher than me, then I need to serve more. I need to inherit from him. This kind of attitude we need to have. And through the serving, through this kind of attitude, we can remove our fallen nature. Today, I talk about the shortcut to overcoming fallen nature. Thank you very much, my brothers and sisters. 감사합니다.